Hi, everyone. Welcome to Liberal Arts Career Week. We're talking about the federal government today. We are going to give it just a minute to get started while everyone signs in through Zoom. So we will get started in just a second. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. We're just waiting for everyone to come in through the Zoom waiting room and registration. As we wait, we'll give it a minute. I just wanted to go over, it's Liberal Arts Career Week. We are so glad for you to join us. We have had some really great events this week, and as typical, a snow day that always falls in. So we are looking to reschedule some of those things that happened. Were scheduled to happen yesterday on interviewing, and the public writing initiative will also be looking to reschedule. Just a reminder that not just these webinars, but Instagram has had lots of fun reels helping to guide you in a variety of areas. Today's focus was on deciding on law schools. So there are up to 4 reels that appear every day on our Instagram. So we invite you to follow us there, where we share a lot of helpful information, as well as our LinkedIn. Tomorrow will be our last day of Liberal Arts Career Week, and we will have the ability to meet with a career coach during Find Out More Fridays, which is in our Chaikin Center for Student Success here on the first floor of Sparks from 10 to noon. We will also be sharing careers in research with a bachelor's degree on Zoom at 11:15. And ending with a focus with our graduate students on translating PhD training to non-academic careers. So your CV to your resume with a focus on Instagram and grad school. Just save the date. We will have our virtual recruiting week, February 6th to the 10th. All of these companies are listed on the website below Liberal Arts Career Week, as well as through Nittany Lion Careers. And you just need to register there for appointment to meet with a variety of companies. We have a really, really great list coming. Okay, so I'm going to stop share, Wendy, while I introduce you and welcome you to share your screen, but I wanted to introduce our presenter. So my name is Katie Wysocki, and I'm the director of the Career Enrichment Network here in the College of Liberal Arts. And just a few housekeeping tools. We are recording this session, so it will appear on our YouTube channel for the College of Liberal Arts, as well as you can access Q&A and chat to ask any questions as Wendy goes through the presentation. We are going to save them till the end, but we'll navigate those and have a good amount of time to do that. So we welcome your engagement through Q&A. Okay, so to introduce Ms. Wendy Stoner, currently serves as the Chief of Staff for the Office of Enterprise Strategy Management with the Federal Acquisition Service at the U.S. General Services Administration. She is responsible for human capital, budget, engagement, strategy, and communications for the organization. Ms. Stoner has also served in numerous other senior leadership positions across GSA, including Chief of Staff for the Office of Travel, Transportation and Logistics, and Chief Financial Officer and Director for National Recruitment and the Emerging Leaders Program within the Office of Human Resources Management. She has close to 15 years of talent acquisition, talent management, leadership development, and senior management experience. She strives to create an environment of highly engaged employees dedicated to accomplishing GSA's mission, and has successfully recruited hundreds of highly talented recent graduates prepared to tackle GSA's business challenges. Ms. Stoner's work has helped GSA fuel the pipeline to meet the agency's future leadership and succession planning needs. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Penn State University. So Wendy, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Katie. I want to thank you and Lauren for inviting me. And I really look forward to talking to all of you this afternoon. And like Katie said, I would be more than happy to answer questions at the end. So feel free to put those in the chat or the Q&A, and Katie will monitor that towards the end. So today I'm going to talk about how do you get a job with the federal government. As Katie just read, I have had a really fulfilling, diverse career with the federal government. I have worked for GSA since I graduated from college, which I know sounds kind of crazy. You all might have parents who've worked for the same company for possibly their whole career. And the cool thing that I have found about working for the government is that I have had this opportunity to do lots of different things. Having been a liberal arts major, I felt like I had a variety of skills and talents. And so it's just, been an exciting career. So with that, I'm going to advance, and Katie, I think I'm doing something wrong. It is not advancing. Sorry. Forgive me for technical difficulties here, people.
That's okay. Sometimes if you hover in the bottom left-hand corner, these small arrows will come up to move it.
Let's see.
Left-hand, no.
Oh, here we go. There we go. Sorry, you guys.
That's okay.
Technical error. Anyway, so this is the agenda I'm going to cover in a pretty short presentation so we can get to questions. But I'm going to give you my little sales pitch for why you might want to work for the federal government. I'm going to talk about the government's portal that they use for applying for all jobs with the federal government called usajobs.gov. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to develop a resume that would be good for applying for federal positions. I will also talk about a specific hiring authority under the Pathways programs. They offer an internship opportunity and a recent graduate opportunity. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I will also share specifically some recent graduate and internship pathways job announcements that GSA specifically will be posting. And then of course we'll get to Q&A. All righty. So why would you want to consider working for the federal government? I already gave you a few of the reasons why I have chosen to have a career with the government, but one thing that a lot of people, I think, falsely think that all federal positions are primarily in Washington, D.C., and that is not the case. There are federal positions. In fact, the vast majority of federal positions are around the country, and there are even some international positions. So you can work for the federal government all over. It's an opportunity to be able to serve and give back to your country. Depending on what your role or responsibilities are, you may really have the ability to see how you're having an impact on the taxpayer and being able to spend their money wisely, which we all are taxpayers. So it's nice to be able to see where those dollars are getting spent and be able to provide services to the American citizen. Benefits in retirement are portable. So the beauty of working for the federal government, it's like working for a variety of companies. Once you have a position with the federal government, you can move from agency to agency. So it's kind of like moving from company to company, and you get to take your benefits and your retirement package with you. You don't have to start at the beginning again. I have found at GSA, and I know at other federal agencies, that government offers a lot of training and development opportunities, everywhere from investing in employees on how to, educate them about the jobs that they're in and give them respective training. We also offer quite a few different leadership development programs because, of course, we're looking for that next generation to advance and become leaders in the government. And I just feel like the government has been a great place where, we're willing to make an investment in our human capital. A lot of positions are posted on USA Jobs, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, on what the government calls a career ladder. And basically what that means is you may be coming in at an entry-level position, obviously right out of college, but when you apply, you're given the opportunity, or the position comes with promotion potential. So it's a nice way to know that, once you are accepted and get one of these positions, that pretty much on an annual basis for the first 3 to 4 years, you're going to get a promotion with good job performance, and you won't actually have to reapply or, throw your hat in the ring for a promotion opportunity, because the position that you got hired into comes with that. So it's really nice to be able to see kind of where your career is going to take you, and see that progression and that investment that the government's making in you. We also have, as you can imagine, especially following the recent pandemic, lots of positions that are either hybrid or fully remote. We offer lots of flexible work schedules. We're really trying to offer employees that sort of opportunity to have flexibility in their schedules. So whether that means, going into the office a couple days a week and working from home the rest of the week, or having flexible work hours, and not having sort of this set schedule. The government really is trying to embrace flexibility, because we know that we're competing with the private sector, who's also looking at offering that as well to those of you who are looking for a job when you graduate. And just a note, you do have to be a US citizen in order to apply and qualify for a federal position. So unfortunately, green cards or, foreign students, unfortunately shouldn't apply, because we don't have the ability to consider you. So just wanted to point that out. So here are some of the benefits that the government offers. And, this is sort of a typical sort of plate of benefits, but I just wanted to make sure that, that everybody understands that, we have very comprehensive health insurance. We offer separate dental, vision, medical plans that you can sign up for. And the government pays close to 70% of the premiums on your behalf. So just sort of a little sales pitch about health insurance. And we have quite a variety. I mean, if you're in a major metropolitan area, there are going to be anywhere from 10 to 30 different health plans that you can choose from. Obviously, we have a very nice retirement package. Not only do you still get a pension, and that's pretty rare these days, but we also have what we call our thrift savings plan, which is the government's 401k investment program, and the government will match up to 5% of what you put in. So that's also nice, because I know a lot of companies have done away with the matching. Obviously, we offer life insurance. If you are in a position where you're going into the office a few days a week, we offer transit benefits, so that we will give you money to take public transportation to get to and from work, which is nice. We offer separate paid vacation and sick time, 13 days for each of those in the first 3 years. So that amounts obviously to 26 days per year. But after 3 years, the vacation time increases and it goes to like 20 days a year. And then after 15 years of service, then you get like 26 days per year of vacation time. And you obviously continue to accumulate sick time as well. So that's a pretty generous, leave package, if you will. We also now offer 12 weeks of paid parental leave. So both men and women, for the birth of a child or the adoption of a child, have the opportunity to take parental leave, and it is now paid. It wasn't previously, but it is now. Obviously, we have lots of paid holidays, pretty much any holiday you can think of. We have, I think it's 12 or 13 holidays a year now that are paid, of course. You can pretty much count on having a 40-hour work week. And if you do have to work additional hours, especially when you're early in your career, you're going to get paid overtime. And then, of course, good job security in the federal government. So those are sort of our list of benefits. So now I'm going to talk about the portal, the one-stop shop that the government offers for where to find federal positions. So it's called usajobs.gov, and this is a picture of the homepage. And the best thing to do is to go to USA Jobs, and then here's sort of a list of things. And I will have Katie share the slides out with those of you who joined us so that you'll have, all of this to look back on. But USA Jobs it's a new secure login, and it's actually called login.gov. So if you've ever applied for like a global entry or maybe even TSA pre-card, if you travel a lot, you probably were asked to set up a login.gov account. So that's just a secure way that the government is going to and applying this way to sort of get into their different sites. So you'll create a login.gov account if you don't already have one, which I would assume most of you don't. Then you can set up a profile on USA Jobs, and under the profile, you can pick like locations that you want to be considered for positions, different job series. So I would recommend looking for jobs that are listed as a management or a program analyst, possibly a contract specialist, a project manager. There are different job series, and you don't necessarily have to specify. I'm just throwing a few examples out there, but basically the profile allows you to narrow down what your sort of search criteria will be when you're looking for positions that are posted by various agencies. For most of you as either, seniors or juniors looking, for internships or a job when you graduate from Penn State, I would recommend that you search for Pathways, either internship or recent graduate positions, and you can actually put that in the search field. And let me just explain that the internship is for current students. You do need to have at least a semester, if not two, left in your college career, because the way the internship works is you have to work X number of hours. It's actually 640 hours, and you can do that through a combination of, summer employment, working, maybe part-time when you go back to school, but you actually have to finish those internship hours before you graduate. So that's sort of the rules around how the internship works. The recent graduate postings are for folks who, if you are a senior and you'll be graduating either in May or June, you would be eligible. Even though you haven't graduated yet, you will graduate by the time most of these recent graduate positions are starting. They do require that you have a degree, and I listed just some of the grades that you might consider, and you could put that in your profile as well. So a GS5 or a GS7 is entry level with a bachelor's degree. Generally speaking, folks will qualify for a 5 if they have a lower than a 2.95 GPA, but if you have 2.95 or higher, you would qualify for a 7. And then a GS9 qualification is more for grad students. So if you're getting your master's degree, or you have some significant work experience along with your bachelor's degree, you might qualify for a GS9. So, but those are the grades that I would look for when you're looking for positions on USA Jobs. My other tip is pay really close attention to the duties, qualifications, and specialized experience that will be outlined in the application. That is something that you're going to want to make sure, and I'll talk about it when I get to the resume in a minute. You're going to want to make sure that you address what the application talks about somewhere in your resume. Most of these jobs are going to, especially Pathways jobs, are going to require at the end of the application that you upload your resume and an unofficial transcript. So don't ever forget to, please always make sure on any job announcement on USA Jobs that you follow the instructions very carefully, because if you miss any step, they won't consider your application. Some applications for entry-level positions include online assessments. Now, there's one kind where you basically are just self-assessing your knowledge, understanding, experience in whatever the question is asking. And what I always tell folks is that regardless of whether you think you've held a job or done what the question is asking, I mean, if you read a book about it or you talked about it in a class, I mean, or even did something related to whatever the question is asking in high school, just rate yourself highly is my recommendation. This is my behind the scenes 2 cents worth to share on advice, because essentially you're self-assessing, you know, your experience and whatever that is. Now, there's another kind of assessment where it would be more like a GMAT or a GRE, where you'll probably have like 5 minutes to answer the question, and the questions have already been sort of pre-selected by the agency, and generally they're around things like reasoning or judgment or quantitative skills. So, you know, nothing you're going to study for. It's just sort of your basic core skills. So, what I would suggest though with the assessments is that you set aside some time, like an hour at least. You usually can do part of it and leave and come back. But I think it's better to just do it all in one sitting. So that's my advice on the assessment. And then just pay close attention to when the job closes. Obviously, you wouldn't be seeing it on USA Jobs if it hadn't opened, but there will be very specific dates for when they're accepting applications. So you just need to get it done by the closing date, or again, they won't consider your application. And then this last thing that the government does sometimes, so even though I know I said all jobs are posted on USA Jobs, you will also sometimes find what's called a public notice flyer. And Pathways positions use this fairly frequently because they do get like a crazy number of applicants for those kinds of jobs. So some agencies like mine at GSA will post a public notice flyer on USA Jobs. It's not the actual live link to actually apply for the job. It's just notifying you that we have plans to post a job in the near future. And usually it will give you a website that will be listed or on the agency's site. And so you just want to kind of keep checking that site, because that's when you'll find out when the job goes live. So I know that's a little confusing, and I'm happy to answer some questions about that at the end, but just wanted to point that out in case you ever see a Pathways public notice flyer on USA Jobs. Okay, so your resume. Here's my advice. There is a federal format to a resume. I personally, as a hiring manager, think it's pretty awful. So it makes me, you know, kind of want to poke my eyes out. So it's totally fine if you use your regular resume, any form, there's no mandated format. So, you know, if you have a regular resume already, which probably most of you do, you can just start with that. Now, my one caveat for applying for federal jobs is that basically human resources, when they're reviewing your application, isn't going to give you credit for anything that they don't see on your resume. So you need to include all work experience, whether it's full-time, part-time, volunteer work. You know, I think school organization work is perfectly legitimate as a college student to put on your resume. List any leadership positions you held, or, you know, various positions, list the dates of when you did whatever this experience is. And I personally am totally fine with high school jobs. All of that will add up to experience that you will be able to demonstrate to the agency or the folks posting the job that you have this in your background. Outline responsibilities, obviously accomplishments, anything quantifiable that you can say that you did. If you supervise, you know, I don't know, a lot of times folks, you know, work at restaurants and they supervise, you know, other wait staff, or maybe you've had other supervisory experience, but obviously not necessary at an entry-level position. But if you've supervised people, even if it's in a restaurant setting and you're not applying obviously for a restaurant job in the government, it's okay, because that will give you credit for having done that. And then, like I said on the last slide, just ensure that your resume speaks to the duties or qualifications or specialized experience that were listed in the job announcement. So, regardless, whether it was a school organization where maybe you were the treasurer and you put a budget together, that gives you, budget and finance related experience, put that on there. It doesn't matter that it wasn't a paid position. Just make sure, if the duties require or they outline, budgetary experience, then you can list, your experience. And even if it's, having budgeted, say, in a restaurant or some other part-time job that you had, you can put that on there. Okay, so GSA, my agency, actually runs a number of entry-level programs, either for recent graduates or offers internships to current students. And we are actually going to be posting and accepting applications on the dates on the slides for folks. So if you're a recent for the recent graduate positions, like I said, if you're a senior graduating in May or June, then you would want to apply to the recent graduate posting. And if you are a junior who is like finishing your junior year and you would be like a rising senior next year, I would consider applying to the internship. There are other agencies who I think look to hire interns through this program who are earlier, after freshman or sophomore year. GSA, because we have a specific internship that feeds our recent graduate program, we offer like a leadership development program for our recent graduates. And so because we use our internship as a feeder, we like to get folks who are finishing their junior year. So they just are an intern for a year, and then they would be accepted into our leadership development program, which again, I can talk a little bit more about that. And if you want to email gsa.recruitment@gsa.gov and express interest in either the internship or the recent grad job announcement or, positions, they should add you to information sessions, which I have listed on the next slide. And they should also send you the live job application link when it goes live. Like the recent grad one will go live on March 3rd, and the internship one will go live February 27th. So you can email that mailbox and they should add you to their list. And then this is actually a list of the dates of when GSA will be holding information sessions. So you'll learn a lot more about GSA as an agency and the internship and recent graduate leadership development programs that they offer that you could be accepted into. So all these dates, they're running the exact same information session. So you only have to go to one. You could pick which one, suits your schedule best. And they're using that same Google Meet link for all the different information sessions. So hopefully that's clear. So that was federal recruiting and getting a job with the federal government as it's written on paper. Now I'm going to give you sort of the insider baseball scoop on kind of how it really works. Here's my advice. Federal hiring is challenging for folks who don't have preference eligible candidacy. And what that means is the federal government gives people who are veterans preference when they're applying, especially for entry-level positions. So my advice to you is don't put all your eggs in one basket. I would apply to lots of positions that get posted at the GS5 or 7 level, under Pathways or not, because hopefully one of those you're going to make it through. Unfortunately, because the qualifications are fairly limited at the entry level, and because the government gives preference to candidates who are veterans, often by no fault of yours, you do not make it through the process. It doesn't speak to your qualifications or your ability to be successful in the job. It's just, unfortunately, you know, the way it is. And we've hired some amazing veterans. So I don't want it to sound like, you know, we don't hire great veterans, because we do, but we know there's a lot of other great candidates out there as well who don't come with that preference, which unfortunately is built into the process. So I just don't want people to get discouraged. And I just think, you know, unlike in the private sector, where you may be a little more selective about, you know, who you submit an application to, in the government, it is perfectly fine, you know, to apply to everything you see under the sun that, you know, falls sort of in, you know, what you think you would qualify for. So, so that's my behind the scenes advice. Anyway, I've also included my contact information on the last slide. And again, Katie or Lauren will share my slides, so you'll have this, but I do not mind if you want to email me or reach out and talk after today is over, if you have follow-up questions, but you know, I'll take some time now and answer some questions if any of you have it. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Hopefully that worked.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. It's so
Sure.
different, the federal government's process, that we obviously are always starting there with students in understanding the resume difference and application difference. So please feel free to add your questions in the Q&A. We'll see what we can get through in the next 15 minutes. We did have one question that came in, Wendy, and that was DACA recipients. Can they work for federal government?
No, unfortunately, because you do have to have citizenship.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. This is not my rule.
No, we won't hold it against you. Do most people working within the federal government go to graduate school, or does it really depend on the job?
I would say it really depends on the job and the agency. Now, where I work, there's a plethora of folks. Oh my gosh, in my whole, I'm going to tell it to snooze. You didn't see that, hopefully, but like our IT people are always pushing updates, and they just pushed one. And I'm like, oh no, not now. Anyway,
Not now.
sorry. So, you know, where I work, I work in a strategy organization, and, you know, the majority of the workforce has a graduate degree. It's not required. My advice on graduate school, and I know it becomes more and more like looked for by employers, you know, in these days. However, you know, only go to grad school if you really are passionate and want to go. It's hard to keep going to school, or take some time and work and then go back. I mean, the government does have, I don't want to promise this, but we do have tuition opportunities for folks to get tuition assistance to go to grad school, which is always kind of nice, especially if you have undergrad student loans. It's nice not to have to, you know, take on additional debt, but that's part of the training and the development that I talked about. So anyway, it really, I would say, depends on the kind of job that you're looking to go into.
Great. The next question is a first-year student. So what are some of the next steps to take? I've already made a usajobs.gov account, but it seems a lot of internships look for juniors and seniors. So what would you suggest this younger audience do in the meantime?
Well, don't be shy about, you know, looking to see, because like I said, just because my agency isn't hiring, you know, interns through the Pathways program, we actually do. A lot of agencies, and my agency does this as well. Let me put this out there. If you are a freshman or sophomore and you're looking potentially for an internship with the government, you can email me your resume. I am willing to take your resume, and we offer internships, summer internships, that don't come with the same competitive like conversion. So through the I didn't mention this, but when you get hired as a Pathways intern, you are actually competing up front for the position. And then when you graduate and get your degree, we can, what we call non-competitively, convert you. So you don't have to apply for a job with the government, because you essentially already have one and you already competed. So that's the nice thing, because you get to try out the agency and see if you like the work. And, you know, the agency gets to try you out as well. Now, we have these sort of not to exceed internships intern opportunities, which is what I could consider you. At least it would give you an opportunity to potentially be an intern at a federal agency, or even mine at GSA, and you'd get some exposure to like what the work is like. You would still just have to apply to one of these Pathways internship opportunities once you were a little older.
Great. I would say too, on the Penn State side of things, for first year and second year, that all experience is good experience. So engaging as a leader on campus, considering student government councils, ambassador programs, like liberal arts ambassadors or Lion ambassadors, Lion Scouts, anything that allows you to build your communication and networking, problem solving, analytical skills, maybe it's research and poli-sci, all of those things are helpful. All experience is good experience that will then help you to develop that resume, as Wendy said, and connect to all those qualifications that internship has to make your case for that internship when you're qualified to go for it. So we can talk about that in career coaching too, one-on-one in our office. You're always welcome to schedule an appointment with anyone in the Career Enrichment Network. So a couple more questions. Is it common for people to switch among agencies, or do people typically prefer to grow within the same one?
I would say both. So there are plenty of people who have had really rewarding careers, and they have worked at 5, 6, 7, 8 different agencies. It really kind of depends on the individual and maybe what your career path is. But then of course there's plenty of folks too who have grown up and really developed and honed their skills and talents within the same agency. And I will say that moving or switching positions from agency to agency, it's not frowned upon. It's not a negative thing. In fact, we hire some amazing folks from other agencies. So, either is perfectly fine.
The next two questions are around the timeline, and I know that gets to be a little bit different too, but can you, the typical process from start to finish, I'm thinking about the State Department and how long some students wait, right, for clearances, but typical start to finish job application process, what does that look like, and what are your general timelines, do you think?
So the two pathways positions that the internship and the recent grad posting that I talked about for GSA, they are looking at, so the internship will start in June, and the recent graduate program will start, I think they start in July or August. So it wouldn't, I mean, that sounds like a crazy long time. You would hear a lot sooner. I know, GSA, I can't speak for other agencies, but we work hard to try to, review candidates once they have been qualified by human resources, review candidates, set up interviews, and try to get that done fairly quickly in the government grand scheme of things, if you will. I would suspect you could start hearing about offers as early as, the end of March, April timeframe. And we do have a security clearance that you would need to get, but it's pretty basic, and it's nothing that you wouldn't be able to get through or complete basic background investigation by these start dates. I mean, our personnel security knows that we have these start dates. And so anyway, but it's not quick. I mean, you should understand that, unlike a company where you might be in an interview and they can make you an offer right there and then at the end of the interview. I don't know how many do that these days, but a lot of companies have the ability to do that. We do not. So unfortunately, it does take a little longer, but we're not like the State Department, because unfortunately those, even to sit for the Foreign Service exam, I don't know how frequently they even offer that. So you have to wait till they offer it, you sit for it, then, you go through usually various phases of, it's not just taking the exam, it's interviews and all sorts of stuff. And then you're right, the level of security clearance can take 18 months with them. And that's unfortunate. We're nothing like that. So, I mean, we are hiring for this summer. So these job openings are to start this summer.
And that's a second piece to the one question on timeline was how soon should we start applying if graduating in the summer? I think, again, it comes down to the agency and the level of security clearances in that process.
It does. I would say, though, I mean, again, I can't speak for all agencies, but, you know, if they know anything about college recruiting, they would know that, you know, basically now till spring break is like the core time that students are applying and looking for jobs, especially if they're graduating this summer. So, you know, do your search on USA Jobs. I mean, if people have questions, I can even help, you know, in the coming weeks, but take a look and see, because agencies will post at all different times. But if they know what they're doing and they know who their target audience is, they should be posting, you know, in the next couple weeks.
Just some advice too for all of you on the call who are using LinkedIn. I follow many agencies and many departments just so I have valuable information for all of you when we meet or to put in Nittany Lion Careers. And they're really using it to give alerts out to what's being posted and what info sessions are coming up. And even at the bottom of usajobs.gov is an events area where they'll have events. You know, Wendy had a wonderful presentation, you know, and there are additional ones out there from the Office of Personnel Management, as well as the Forest Service is doing one on resumes. And, you know, so there's lots of opportunities for you to really get this right the first time around and help your competitiveness. So, okay, some more questions. What are the most common degrees that people have who are applying for federal positions?
Honestly, you can major in pretty much anything on it. You are not, our application process, unless you're applying to be like an architect, an engineer, an accountant, those jobs do have a specific education requirement. But most jobs in the federal government and under Pathways, it doesn't matter what your major is. Honestly, being able to demonstrate that you have good communication skills, having good quantitative skills, I think can be valuable. Some experience, obviously, you know, using Excel and other sort of business applications can be valuable, but again, nothing that an agency wouldn't teach you how to use. Just being like well-rounded, but honestly, by no means does the government only hire political science majors. And that's great, but honestly, you can be a history major. I loved hiring math majors and economics majors and, you know, so English majors. We need good writers.
Your major is not as important as your skill sets these days with all industries. So take that into consideration. Again, we can help you to highlight those skills and really promote them as well as your foundation of education. There's a student that was sharing, and I know this is frustrating at times with USA Jobs, that some opportunities close up very quickly and they'll monitor, say, after the first 100 applications. I'm really pushing students to set up the job alerts for Pathways alone, just everything that comes up to be notified. Any other advice, Wendy, on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty sure, I'm assuming it still has this functionality, but yes, under your profile on USA Jobs, you can have when jobs meet your profile, when agencies post, it'll automatically get pushed to your inbox and you'll be notified. And that is true. And even GSA, I think we cut ours off at 250 applicants. And that's not anything you would necessarily know, you know, on the application end of things. But like I said, because so many folks are looking and applying, it does behoove you to get your application in on the first day or two. So thanks for bringing that up.
Sure. I think these two questions, you probably went over them, but just to clarify, would loans be forgiven entering the career? That's the process, right?
It is I think it's actually, so it's a government-wide program. And I think after 10 years, they
Yes.
will, which I know is a long time, and that's completely separate from what the Biden administration had recently tried to do. That I
Mhm.
can't really speak to because I think it was put on hold, but the government does have, if you've spent 10 years as a federal employee, you can apply to have your loans forgiven. And I know a few people who have done it. So, but I know
It's
10
actually a
years
public,
sounds like a long time. So
well, I'm gonna date myself because it's a public service forgiveness loan and I qualify here at Penn
nice,
State. So I'm this close, but yes, that is an
nice.
opportunity currently, but it is 10 years. So you do have to pay in for 10 years. The other one was the student is graduating, fall of 2023. Would they be eligible for summer 2023 internships? And I think you mentioned they have to still be student at the time of it.
You know, if you're graduating in December of 23, actually, I would apply to you can apply to because you can get a bulk of your hours done over the summer, and then you would need to get the rest of your hours done in the fall before you graduate. But I would apply and see.
I have two questions left, and I know we're at the time, but Wendy, any other advice or what makes a candidate stick out, what the future of work is and remote hybrid? I'm lumping them together in that very broad statement. So any future advice, any other advice for students?
You know, just honestly, I mean, if you can just do a good job on your resume about really sort of outlining like what you've done, the experience you've had, and and again, I know this goes counterintuitive to what you do for the private sector. It doesn't even matter how long your resume is. A college student shouldn't probably have a 10-page resume, but so please don't make it 10 pages, but if it had to go on to 2 pages, you're totally fine because the government is not dinging you for that. And as far as it's interesting, the future of work, most of the federal agencies are moving to this hybrid environment. And, most young people, would like to go in sometimes and see their peers. And I do hope that continues. Now, I know for GSA, most of our positions are pretty much remote. You have the option to go into the office if you want to, but I just think, in order to be able to attract the right kind of talent, the government is finally opening its eyes and realizing that, somebody might be in Topeka, Kansas and have the most amazing skills that fit with a job we're filling. And they don't want to live in DC, or they don't want to live in Philadelphia or wherever, and they want to stay in Topeka. So I do think, we're probably going to continue to move in this hybrid, remote-ish environment.
Wendy, thank you so much for your time and your generosity of information to all of our students here. We really appreciate your partnership in the last many years in helping us here in the College of Liberal Arts. So for everyone that signed on, I just sent a message to my colleague to make sure she gets those slides to you. I shared the YouTube channel link in the chat, as well as the usajobs.gov link for now. Wendy, we will do our best to market those information sessions coming up. For GSA
Great.
positions as well through Nittany Lion Careers. And again, just a reminder to all the students here, your situation and your career journey is unique to you. And that's why we're here as career coaches. So you can schedule appointments with us one-on-one through Nittany Lion Careers to discuss that and the beast that is the federal government application. So we will help you as best as we can. So
take advantage of what Katie and the Career Center are offering. I can't speak enough to that. You really great resources.
Thank you, Wendy. Great to see you. Thanks so much.
Take care. Thank you.
See you later.